Hello and welcome to Beyond the Slipstream. I'm Matt. I'm here with my brother Justin. We are just a little side piece podcast to our main Team Bus show. And we're going to get into a whole lot of non-cycling related content today on this, our 42nd Beyond the Slipstream episode. You want to kick it off with, well, I guess our main thing we're doing today is a two-wheel twofer.
Yes.
Back to the two-wheel twofers, trademark, patent pending. We are comparing and contrasting two films by the same filmmaker, one of which I spoke about on a recent show in a broom wagon or on a Beyond show. That is the Grand Budapest Hotel, directed by Wes Anderson, and we were also going to be pairing that up today with the Royal Tenenbaums, a film which I very much enjoyed watching this very morning. So let's get into it. You want to start with Tenenbaums or Grand Budapest or both? How you want to approach this?
So I was thinking about that. I mean, I think either way we can. It doesn't really matter. I think maybe let's maybe start with Tenenbaums and then go into Budapest, just because Tenenbaums was earlier in Anderson's career. So so why don't we just start there? So I think respectively we both can say that in both cases one of these movies is our favorite by this director, correct? Would you say that Grand Budapest is your favorite one?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that Tenenbaums is my favorite out of.
Well, and I think Tenenbaums I could kind of pretty easily say is my second favorite. So I mean they're both just right up there.
Yeah. So the Royal Tenenbaums holds like a really special place in my heart for whatever reason. I can remember, there's so many little things that I remember. So my experience with this movie is I came across it when I purchased it. I purchased it from a video store, the DVD, and it was like some sort of like special Criterion Collection version of it. It was a 2-disc Criterion Collection, version of this movie, and I bought it at I can't even remember what the name of the video store was, but it was when we still had video stores. This is how old we are. But I remember just watching it a bunch of times when John was really little, my son was really little, and it became this movie for me that was like anytime I didn't have something to watch, or especially like, later on, like if I would get sick and I would just want something that's comforting to me, this has always been that like go-to, this is the meatloaf and mashed potatoes movie of, my adult life, where like it doesn't matter what's going on, it always makes me feel good. There's something about it for me that it brings me back to a time that was like simple for me, but also like a lot of pivotal things happened in my life at that time. And it's this snapshot that it's like so evergreen because it's almost like it's out of time, even though it takes place in like a modern era. It feels out of time, and there's not a lot of like things in it that make you kind of go, well, this is like definitely from the 1990s, or this is definitely from the early 2000s or the 1980s. You can't. It's a movie that's very hard to place where in time it takes place. You don't see, people don't have cell phones. There's not, you know what I mean? There's a very analog, way about this movie. And so it was also the first movie that I had seen, by
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson. Sorry, I'm going to keep saying in my head, I'm like wanting to say Paul Thomas Anderson. No, Wes Anderson. And I remember I remember at the time just thinking like, oh my god, like you could like movies can be like this. And so the first thing that you notice when you watch this movie, at least the first thing that always sticks out to me, is the music. You know, it starts out with this wonderful narration, all right, done by Alec Baldwin, and it is set to multiple versions of the same song in Hey Jude, which I'm a giant Beatles fan. So immediately, right off the bat, like I get this just immediate, kismet with this movie because it speaks to my soul right off the bat. You know, one of my favorite songs of all time is leading it out. And, you know, he telegraphs these movies in a way that he does these little things to set them up. And this is really the first time, because I think prior to this, he only had made two movies prior to this, right? It was Bottle Rocket and Rushmore.
Yeah.
Okay. And, those are very, very different both of those movies are very different from this. This is the first time when you start to see the stylized version of Wes Anderson filmmaking. But it hasn't gone to the hyper sense that it has now, where everything kind of feels, it has that Wes Anderson vibe. There's still some classic movie, realism to it. It doesn't feel so far removed from the real world yet, but yet you do get a sense really quickly that this is not quite the New York that you know. All right. And so it starts with, with the music and the aesthetic. And so you start to see it, and they do this beautiful, narration of, who the Tenenbaum family is. And it's wonderful. Like it's like this 5 minutes where it's like a complete, here, we need to set you up and put you into this world so you understand how big this family was and now how far they've fallen to get to the point where the movie kind of really starts. And he does such a great job of setting it up that once you do start into the current day, topic of this movie, that it's fully fleshed out for you. Like, you know exactly what's going on with each of these characters. You've got just enough to know exactly, how to follow along. And, it rolls in, and it's just like, once it starts going, it's perfectly paced in every way to where you never feel like it's dragging at all. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that it's one of my hallmarks of great cinema is, like, if you don't look at your watch, like, if you can just be enthralled by it for the, 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is, that's a great movie.
Uh, yeah. He's an incredible, like, conveyor of lots of information. Um, the the setup of all the members of the family, through narration, um, it's like pure, unadulterated, like, exposition. Um, but it is so artfully done,
Mm-hmm.
and so the details are so lovingly rendered, as as you're listening to this incredibly, like, well written dialogue that Alex Baldwin is giving you. Like, you're seeing these shots, and every single one of them is just so sumptuous. You want to just, like, look at all of the
Yes, there's
information that you're
so
being
much going
given.
on.
There's, like, so many little clues and everything, and things that'll come back. And some of them are totally obvious and right on the nose. Like, they have the polka dotted mice, that the son develops, and then, like, years later, you're still seeing these mice, like, roaming around the house and stuff like that. That's on the nose, but there's other ones that are way more subtle, just little things and little objects that are in the frame earlier that come into play later down the road. And
Yeah, when he
you know
when he
it's
talks about how Chaz has taken his coffee and lunch standing at his desk,
Yeah.
and he has a preternatural sense for international finance, and
Yeah, it's
he
just so perfectly rendered. Like every little thing he's so able to hit these like visual archetypes in every shot. You know, he looked like a little tiny businessman.
yeah, but it's like, but it's also like when you couple it with the narration that you you really understand who these characters are by the time this exposition is done. You're like, you're totally ready by the end of it to be like ready to go. Okay, well, where's all these
Yeah,
people now?
let's
And then
get this plot rolling.
yeah, and it's he just does such a great job of doing it. And as you get to the end of this kind of like 4 or 5 minutes, the music starts to swell, and you're getting that na 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 na, and you're just like, yeah. And then it's
Hmm.
like it drops out and it goes into that like staccato like violin music that where like
Hmm.
and it starts to hit you on each
It's actually
character.
funny that music you're talking about too. That is music that they use as a bed in the Film Spotting podcast. Like for years now, they have used that music, that violin music, as the bed for one of their recurring segments where they do massacre theater and like the two of them like act out a scene from
Yeah.
from a movie, and the listeners have to email in their guesses as to what movie it is. Um, so the instant I heard that music, I sat up because I was like, wait, that's that music that I hear once a week on Film Spotting podcast. That's where this came from. I love those moments.
Well, and that's also where they introduced you. And this is also like one of those things that I can't remember him doing this in any of his other movies off the top of my head, where he is like, he literally, it's almost like a play in a way where like he literally just gives you like a one shot of each of the characters. So, now as an adult, here's all these characters that we just talked about. Here's what they
Mhm.
look like. So there's no mistaking who's who in it. You know what
Yeah,
I
it's like
mean?
every box gets checked in these movies,
Yes.
visually and in terms of the script and the writing. I wanted to circle back to the just some of the needle drops in this thing. I mean, this guy, Wes Anderson, is on Scorsese level when it comes to needle drops. You know
Yes.
what I mean? This man picks some amazing songs to drop in here that just they just take these shots from great to something else when you get that music in there, like something I'm super familiar with, but I completely forgot they used in this movie, the Vince Guaraldi Christmas Time Is Here,
Oh, it's all
like,
through it. It happens
yeah,
all
it
through
was
it.
just like, it just gives you this just sort of like nostalgic, forlorn, warm, like.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, he does it all over the place. The scene where, um, so hold on. I don't want to get ahead of myself real quick. So just real quick, there's a giant cast, but the people that I think that really stand out in it, I think Gene Hackman gives, in my opinion, one
Incredible.
of the best performances of his career in this movie. And
Absolutely.
it's very sad. Do you know that he only makes 3 movies after this?
Yeah.
And I like 2 of them. And the last movie he made, I'm so sad that that's his last movie. But he does Behind Enemy Lines, Runaway Jury, and then his last IMDb official credit is Welcome to Mooseport
Oh
with
God,
Ray Romano. Right?
what a
Like,
shame.
oh, so.
But those
But
other two are great. I love
I
both of those
love both
movies.
of those other movies. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Runaway Jury's great, and
He
Behind Enemy
cooks.
Lines,
He cooks in Runaway Jury.
dude, Behind Enemy Lines is a great flick. Like
Yeah,
Owen
and he's
Wilson,
and
by
he's
the way,
and
who
he's
also
mixing it with
is,
Owen
yeah.
Wilson. Yeah, who he
Um,
just worked with.
I'm assuming that the reason that they end up both in that flick together is because of this movie, is my guess. But neither here nor there. Um, but so Hackman gives just an unbelievable performance as Royal Tenenbaums. So I mean, he is the impetus character of the family. He is the patriarch. You have Angelica Houston as the mom. You have the 3 kids played by Ben Stiller, Luke Wilson and Gwyneth Paltrow. Luke Wilson and Gwyneth Paltrow. I mean, they all give great performances, but Luke Wilson and
All of
Gwyneth
them.
Paltrow are phenomenal in this. This may be Gwyneth Paltrow's best performance.
She is incredible. Just
So good.
just her body language alone is just, it is so perfect.
And she
I
plays it
love,
so well.
there's got to be 5 different shots in this movie where they're like still shots, where you're seeing several characters in the frame, and like there's got to be like 5 different ones in the movie where she is like the very back person in the frame, like leaned against the wall, just like trying to disappear but still paying attention. Like
Yeah, yeah,
she's
yeah.
so great.
100%. Um,
And it's like, Gwyneth Paltrow is not someone that I'm like gaga over by any
no,
means. She's kind of annoying, but god damn, she's so good in this movie.
she's unbelievable. So, and then your other tertiary characters, are Owen Wilson playing the best friend growing up, the kid that lived across the street. You got, again, Angelica Houston as the mom, and Danny Glover as her suitor, boyfriend, eventual fiance.
Mhm.
And each one of them, to a person, gives a performance that is just beyond words. And so, Hackman especially is like the glue that runs, he's the through line for all of these characters and his interaction. And it's a redemption movie. I mean, that's what this movie is.
And all of the characters' stories have to do with him.
Yes.
Every
And
single one of them has to do with him.
their rise has to do with their mom, and their fall has to do with their father. And it's very interesting, the juxtaposition of these two parents and their completely different styles of parenting. But the beautiful part about this movie is it's a movie about an estranged father finding his way back into his kid's life. All right, as a guy that was, completely selfish and isolated himself because of his narcissism and his selfishness over a lifetime, and alienated himself from his children, and realizing when the record stops, all of a sudden he doesn't really have anything. And it starts as this journey to like kind of worm his way back in, but then he quickly realizes,
Well, yeah, 'cause in his narcissism is like still on display. It's like you see him over the course of the movie, like tenuously let go of his grip on his narcissism. I mean, when he first is trying to get back in good with the kids, and there's that scene where he says to Chaz, like, can I see my grandsons? And he's kind of annoyed, he's like, can I see my grandsons? And Chaz is like, why? And he says, because I finally want to meet them.
yes,
Finally.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What a line, but it's like, yeah, he's got a big arc to make in this film, and everybody else is playing off of him.
Yeah.
I mean, even Owen Wilson's character in a way is playing off of him.
Oh yeah, 100%. And isn't it? I think it's funny that of all the characters, only Royal sees through Owen Wilson's character's like bullshit. Like he's the one that like immediately picks up on Owen Wilson just being a complete and utter shit.
Right, game recognizes game.
Yes, game recognizes game.
And yet you can tell that that inside he wants Owen Wilson to get his shit together.
Yeah.
Even though he has a lot of disdain for him, but
it's, and so you have this through line of all these, because I mean essentially it's a movie of everybody interacting with Royal, and so from step to step to step, they obviously during the narration, that beginning part of it, they really paint him as an asshole. They really, really do. But then, like, as it starts to move along, you get, and of course, the impetus of them getting all back together and him getting back in their lives is like he fakes that he's dying. You know what I mean? Like, and again, it's this like super narcissistic thing to do, to pretend like you're dying to try to get your family back.
It's almost as bad as like pretending like you're an Italian.
Ironic. So, but what I find so endearing about it is like, if you take a scene like the scene where they first go to the cemetery And it's well, actually, hold on, let me back up. The first thing that I find the first time when I find Royal really endearing is when he goes and he meets his grandkids. All right, they're like on some like rooftop gym, and they're like doing their
Yeah, the
calisthenics.
375th Street Y.
Yeah, and they're doing their calisthenics, and he like he calls them over to the fence, which I also find what a brilliant visual that he puts in there is that like there is like even though they're together, there's still this like separation. There's still this barrier that's between them, and and he literally introduces himself to his grandkids, and he's like, "Do you know who I am?" And they're like, "No," and he's like, "Well, I'm Royal," and then he like has that little interaction with Ari, and then he's like, "Well, which one are you?" And he's like, I'm Ari," and he turns to Uzi and he goes to Uzi, he's like, "Uzi, I'm your grandfather." And they have the dog there, and they're like, he's like, that's a nice looking dog, and he's like, "That's Buckley," and he's like, "Buckley, sit," and the dog sits, and there's this very like
Yeah.
thing that happens in that scene that's
He's just
really
like so warm to them,
right, and then he goes,
And
"Do you know?"
that's not the only time he gets a dog to sit in that movie.
No, it's not, and he goes. But he has a line with the kids where he goes, "Do you know why we haven't met?" And they're like, "No." And he goes, "I guess it's just a fuck you to the old man." You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And I'm just like, and it's this candor that he has with every character that is so amazing. But
Well, it's that's going to be reminiscent of another character we talk about later on in this
right, right,
segment.
right. So that then leads them to they kind of manipulate Ben Stiller into relenting and letting him in somewhat, and so eventually they get on and they all go to the cemetery, and Stiller's wife is Ben Stiller's wife, who had passed away, is also buried in the cemetery. And that scene,
And Hackman is
yeah,
so just like cruel, like the way he's just like, oh, then guess we have another grave we got to
no,
go
we got another
visit.
body here, is how he
Yeah,
puts it.
yeah, we got
Yeah,
another body here.
yeah.
Brutal.
But you also like once you get past the little bit of cruelty, he has a really sweet moment with Luke Wilson where he asks him, he goes, "What happened to you that day?" He's like,
Yeah.
and he says, "I had a lot riding on that match, both financially and personally."
Hmm.
And it's and again, it's always until the end, it's always about him
Hmm.
in the moment that they're talking about, which is so damn good because it's like he's so narcissistic that even when he's trying to like be understanding, he still has that through current of narcissism that runs through it. It's so
Hmm.
goddamn good.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
my notes turned off.
That
Sorry.
that cemetery, by the way, my God, what a location. What a location. That and the scene where Royal takes Ari and Uzi to get into mischief is so great. Once again, we get an amazing needle drop. What is it? Me and Julio down by the
Yes.
schoolyard. It's just like the scene just cooks along. The best part is like when they're on the go-karts. I have no idea where they are, but they are underneath some kind of like massive concrete structure, like whipping around the go-karts. And Royal's got that hat turned around backwards with the glasses. I mean, it's so, so good.
They're
Um,
riding on the back of the garbage truck, and it's just like the God, I just love this movie so much. I just love it so much. Um, God, I'm trying to think. Hold on, what else? Another needle drop is when Richie comes home and Baldwin goes. He arranged for his normal transportation, and it's he
the
says something,
bus.
yeah, something about his favorite person picking him up on the Green Line bus.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when Gwyneth Paltrow when Margot steps off the bus, that song is just like, oh my god, just everything about that is just that scene is so beautiful because in that moment, you don't need to be told that these two characters are in love. Like, even though they're going to tell you later on, but like, you know, right from that moment, you're like, oh my God, these are two people that just opine for each other and can't, know that they can't be together. And, oh
Yeah, that no,
God.
I actually had that one in my notes as well. That was the Nico and Velvet Underground song.
Yes.
She's just got that haunting voice, and it's just like so perfect for that.
Yeah.
Um, well, uh, speaking of Luke Wilson, I just think he is so good in this movie. He he has an incredible look. Like that guy's got a very and he's not like classically handsome, but like he's gorgeous, like his face is just like so compelling. Um, and then his brother Owen Wilson, I think if I was Owen Wilson and I had to choose one photograph of myself, one single image of myself to stand for me for the rest of my life, it would be him shirtless in the closet with the
Oh
cowboy
my
hat on,
God. Yes.
just bathed in this like glowing fluorescent glow. And
Hi,
it's just
beautiful.
like,
That's what he
yeah,
says. He walks
he's
out. He's like,
just,
hi, beautiful.
yeah. And then you get another like insanely sexy shot of him on the cover of like the New York Times like Sunday magazine or whatever. And he's like holding like a snake in two parts. And he, this becomes like one of the plot devices where like this is like he has sent this to to
He
the
sends the
mom.
clippings
He's like sends her his
to
clips because he's so
Eveline.
desperate. He's so desperate for a family. He's like this poor kid that's been living across the street, like admiring these people's lives, for all this time, and just desperately wants to be a part of it, even though he's
He
gone out and
is.
become like a wild success himself. It's
And he is part of the family. You know what I mean?
right.
I think that's the part that he doesn't realize is that he is part of the family.
And yet and then you juxtapose that with Margot's whole feeling of not being a part of the family because who was it? Her dad had to remind everybody every time he introduced his children when they were younger. And
Yeah,
this is my half
this
daughter,
is my adopted
or
daughter.
yeah, my adopted daughter, Margot. Um,
Well,
yeah,
and that's never more apparent than when he finally gets her to go to the ice cream parlor and she goes you probably don't even know my middle name, and he goes, trick question, you don't have a middle name, and she goes, it's Helen, and he goes, that
yeah,
was my mother's name.
so good, so good.
Oh God, there's so many things.
There was yeah a lot of details that I wanted to touch on. Um, in terms of visuals, I'm just gonna go down and hit some of
Do it.
these real
Do it.
quick.
Do it. Do it.
Shot where they're in Chaz's old bedroom. He's got his office set up there and running again. He's got a secretary working for him, and there's a shot where it's like from behind his desk, and you can see she's sitting at like what then was like the top end like Apple computer, like it's like a cool looking Mac desktop with like the silver Apple logo on it, and it's all modern looking. But on his desk from his childhood, there's a disk drive from the Apple IIc or something like that. It's got the old Apple logo on
Yes.
it with like the
Yes.
rainbow
Yes.
apple. I'm
Yes.
like, I love that he has got both of those things in one shot. That's the kind of product placement that I can get behind. I love that. The cemetery that they were at was just so incredible. The way it's like just everything about it, the 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 gradients and the
Yes.
mausoleums and the fences and everything about it was just amazing. That's got to be the coolest cemetery in all of New York. Um, the I thought the commentators when they were showing Richie's meltdown at the big tennis match or whatever, I thought as I'm listening to it, I'm like that's Owen Wilson and Jason Schwartzman. But I looked it up, and
It's not. It's their other brother.
it's Owen Wilson's other brother Andrew and Wes Anderson.
Yes.
I was just
I
like,
knew that. I knew that. I was gonna bring up the fact. Do you know that one of the commentators was the other Wilson brother?
so funny. All right. The artwork in Eli's apartment is nuts. All those paintings are incredible. There's a great shot earlier in the movie where he's like talking on the phone and he's sitting in front of one of them, but you might not even realize it's his apartment. But then later, we're back in his apartment. There's drugs all over the place, but there's these incredible paintings on the wall, and you're like, oh right, that was like the other one. Um, And then you've got it's like he's this crazed drug addict, but he just seems to have it together. He's like being interviewed on talk shows, he's on the cover of magazines,
Well,
and yet
how about the first scene
he's such a contradiction.
where Richie comes back and he's like, and they have this really weird interaction. And he's like, "What did you say?" And he goes, "I didn't say anything." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm kind of spaced out. I'm on mescaline." He goes, "Did you say you're on mescaline?"
Right, 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 right. There's an amazing needle drop in one of those apartment scenes where it goes to the Eric Satie like gymnopedie that like the melancholy in
Yeah.
this movie that runs through this movie is so incredible. The heraldic style flags that are on the spires of the house, like on the rooftop
Yes.
scenes, you see these cool like long flags with the letter T on them. I'm just like, what a detail! Like you're down a rabbit hole going, at what point was it? Who was it? Which was it? Mom or was it dad that decided we need flags on the top of like just amazing
On the
detail.
cupolas on the, like the spires, yeah. Well, the house at Archer Avenue was amazing. I mean, what a
Unbelievable,
great set.
unbelievable. Like the games closet is
Uh,
just incredible. You just want to sit there and read every single title, and like every like and every fourth game on the shelf is like some game, like the same edition of some game that you've played when you were a kid. Like you're like, oh yeah, I've played that and that and that. I mean, the nostalgia trip in this thing is just so absolutely incredible. And then you know, we talked about the opening montage introducing all of the characters. There was another incredible montage which is like the history of Margot, where it shows like every single boyfriend she ever
okay,
had,
so
and
that's
that's like such a
the
fearless
private
scene for
detective
Gwyneth.
scene.
Like so incredible. Like she is just like making out with like five different dudes in that in this like short little sequence. She's hooking up with a topless woman. Like she is like in all kinds of unflattering whatevers, and just like wow, amazing.
So the setup of that, so that's the private detective scene, and that's when they go, the private detective goes, he's like, "So how much do you know already?" And they're like, "Not much." And it goes into that Ramones song. It's a
Yeah,
Ramones
yeah,
song,
yeah.
and you know, I don't know why I said no.
It's so
Oh
good.
yeah, dude. And they do, because that song's faster paced. They are just bam, 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 bam. You know, cutting through all those different scenes of her life. And when it flashes back and the music stops, they're like, you know, built like they're just so shocked. Like they are just completely all just like, what? like,
Right.
like
Well, and this is part of like the genius of Wes Anderson is that he can take such a light with such a light touch, he can give you this information that's really like a portrait of a person who is lost and searching for something, you know what I mean? And you can get deep pathos, but it's delivered in a package that's just like lightweight and just there's something beautiful about it, you know what I mean? And another great thing about this movie is that he can go even much deeper in terms of subject matter and thematic material, um, and and do it with a still what seems like a light touch, but talk about a perfect needle drop. And what I'm speaking about specifically is the needle in the hay.
oh, I have that one
Elliot
written down too.
Smith.
Oh my god.
Uh, that's probably the darkest moment of the whole movie. Is,
Definitely
you
the
know,
darkest moment
a
of the whole movie.
suicide attempt, and that song is so great. Um, and it is almost like when Luke Wilson survives, it's like that's when everything turns. It's
Yes.
like it's that's when suddenly people are now looking at things with a positive light. It's maybe everybody except for Eli, but um,
The
mm,
so there's two things real quick that preface that scene. It's when Raleigh Bill Murray says, who's
the
also
worst character in the movie.
worst character, but does a really good job with it. He really
Yeah,
does.
but he's loathsome.
So he makes the comment that I think she's cheating on me, and this is on the roof, and like
Hmm.
Luke Wilson's in that little tiny atrium that they have at the
Yeah,
top,
the birdcage.
and he's like physically inside of it, and he's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go, find him and hurt him? And he like punches the glass, and it's this like very visceral reaction that he has. And then you have the scene where they find everything out, and it just breaks him. It breaks him that this woman that he's in love with, that he pines for, that he can't have, like, has lived this extremely promiscuous life, and is sleeping with his best friend. You know what I mean? And it just kills him. It literally just breaks him to the he's already broken because of it. It breaks him to the end at that point. And it's that scene is just so fucking good. Oh my God.
Well, I have to call out what I would say would probably be the most sort of spoken about moment, at least in terms of when I hear people talking about this, and that's the sequence at the very end where, as I mentioned earlier, Hackman once again makes a dog sit, and he's on the fire truck after Eli's crashed his car and killed their dog, and he sees this Dalmatian on the fire truck, and he gets him to sit, and then the camera kind of pans away, and you go over and you see some stuff with
the scene of the crash,
right, at the scene of the crash and the kids, and then coming back into the frame is Hackman, and he's now has the dog.
Yes.
And you're like, what did that scoundrel do? Like, how did he get that? And he's like, here, I got you another dog. And it's like that. I mean, I just get choked up with that one. Yeah. He's just like, I've had a rough year, Dad.
Yeah. Well, so there's two times when you see this like very tough exterior that Ben Stiller's putting on, the tying scene with. It's really interesting because it's like he gets scene. Both of his dads, because he has that tying scene where he makes the connection with Danny Glover being a widower, and he's like I'm a widower, and he's like, I know, Chaz, and then you have the scene where he's like, I've had it, where he finally like opens up to Royal, and then there's something so sweet about it. I'm going to get choked up.
Oh, I sob every time I see it.
When he's the last one, when he's the only one there to witness his father's death.
Yeah.
And he's the last one. And like, he was by far the hardest on his dad. Yeah, I definitely get choked up about it. So,
all right, well, I'm going to go ahead.
No, I was going to say and you mentioned the Eli scene. So the Eli scene where he's in the car and he goes, I know, I'm with you. And he goes, here I come. I love that. That visual is amazing. So
it's so great. All right, let's leave it there, and we'll be back to bring in Grand Budapest Hotel. Stay with us.
Perfect.
Don't miss the Team Bus, our weekly podcast about pro cycling, and oh, did I mention pro cycling? We're kind of obsessed. Dropping into your usual podcast feeds every Wednesday.
All right, welcome back. We are going to bring in the Grand Budapest Hotel to our conversation about the Wes Anderson film, The Royal Tenenbaums, part of our two-wheel twofer for today. And I want to kick it off actually with...
Hold on, before you kick off, can I just throw in two last things that on that?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So the ending scene, really just the one. The ending scene of the movie is at Royal's funeral. Amazing. It's really two things from this scene. Chaz and his kids in the black Adidas suits, amazing. The BB gun salute, amazing. But then...
so perfectly fitting.
Earlier in the film, Royal had pointed out he was like, that's an amazing gravestone. And there was some sort of like crazy inscription on it. I wish I'd written down what it was. But
gravestone and inscription, things that will come into play in the next movie.
Yes. So when you get to Royal's grave, there's an inscription on it. And the inscription reads,
So
died
good.
died tragically rescuing his family from the wreckage of a destroyed sinking battleship.
Yeah.
Which if there isn't a perfect cap to Royal's narcissism, all right, because how will anybody know in 100 years that he didn't die tragically rescuing his family from the wreckage of a sinking
Oh, of
battleship?
course, of course.
So
But at, in a metaphorical sense, though, w- what that moment is saying is, but is it not true?
it is absolutely true. That's really the best part about it.
Well, I think that's in the future. I think they're poised on the precipice at that moment. He's set them up for success
Yeah.
in a way. He's done his work and passed on, and now it's on them to make that epitaph true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What a great movie. Okay.
Yep.
The Grand Budapest Hotel. You kick this one off. Obviously, you know this movie like the back of your hand.
Well, you got into the into Wes's filmography in the first segment. Tenenbaums was indeed his third movie, and I'm on record as saying that I think he sort of perfected the form in the Grand Budapest Hotel, and I think it's interesting to take a look at the 6 film arc that starts with Royal Tenenbaums and ends with Grand Budapest Hotel, right?
Okay.
Because you pointed out that there was stylistically a distinct like step up from Rushmore to Royal Tenenbaums. Rushmore, a film that I adored. That was definitely the first one that I saw.
Really good.
Yeah, absolutely adored it. Went back and watched Bottle Rocket before Royal Tenenbaums had come out, because I was so touched by Rushmore. I was like, oh my God, I gotta watch whatever else this guy has made. And he had only made one film at the
Right.
time. So I watched Bottle Rocket, liked Rushmore better, but was very psyched for Tenenbaums to come out, and kind of kept up pretty closely ever since. So yes, what we see in Royal Tenenbaums is kind of like the beginning of the style. It's like here it is. This is what it is. This is a statement about what it is. It's like highly composed still shots. It is an emphasis on graphics, overlays, textures, iconography, all these kind of things. The sense of like the mise en scène is just off the charts in these things. Like they're so artfully arranged. He's like everybody says, it's the kind of movie where every frame could be a painting on the wall. Could be hanging on your wall. So he's really started that in earnest in this movie. The next film he makes is The Life Aquatic.
One of my favorites of all his
So
movies.
good. And I think what that movie represents is him really, really now coming into stride with the art direction. Like the art direction on that movie is completely outrageous. He is able to sort of dip his toes into the world of fantasy in that movie. You know what I mean? There was no like fantasy in Tenenbaums.
Right. It seemed like the training wheels were 100% off. The guardrails were completely taken away. This was where I'm sure that there was a lot of studio direction that came with the Tenenbaums, because I mean, look at the cast. Cast is absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
So when you get to The Life Aquatic, I feel like he is like, that's fully his first, like, I'm in complete control of this situation.
Yeah, he's got his blank check.
100%.
Basically, he put out Rushmore and the Royal Tenenbaums with a bunch of heavy hitters, and they were both like critically acclaimed, and they're ready to throw money at this guy and let him do what he wants. And we get Steve Zissou, and it's wild, and the sort of throwback vibes of it are just so perfectly rendered. And then inexplicably, we just get like a total miss with the Darjeeling Limited.
I agree.
It's got all the stylistic stuff, but there's no story there, and it's like a big disappointment. And then we get the fantastic Mr. Fox,
Which
it's
is
like
incredible.
and it's like he's like, oh, just in case you thought I was just that one thing, no, I can also do this. Really, really, I can do this as well as anybody out there is doing claymation.
Now,
I, I
the thing that I will, the one credit I will give to the Darjeeling Limited is he starts to suss out his toy box in that movie. Like, he is a guy that likes to go back to the same group of actors,
mhm.
it's almost like he's developed his own troupe of actors. And
Well, the Wilsons, I think, were childhood friends with him.
yes,
I mean, I think they all
correct,
came up
correct,
together.
correct,
So,
correct.
like, yeah.
But he brings in Adrian Brody, makes his first appearance in Darjeeling Limited. He brings
Hmm.
back Schwartzman for Darjeeling Limited. Um, like I said, like you start to see the through currents that are going to carry on through these movies. But you're absolutely right; it is not his best work.
Right. But then, so then he comes out of that and he does Fantastic Mr. Fox, and it is fantastic. It's so good. The Clooney performance is fantastic, among others. And it's gorgeous. Like it is like next level claymation. You know
Mm-hmm,
what I mean? With
mm-hmm,
the Wes Anderson touch, and you're like, wow. And then he comes out with Moonrise Kingdom, which I think is fantastic. And
mm-hmm.
in that one, whereas I feel like Steve Zissou was really a showcase for his like visual and decorative and set design type talents. Moonrise Kingdom took all of that, but then it really got in touch with like the soul side of the stories and
Mm-hmm.
went deep into the romance and the bonds between the characters and stuff like that.
Yes.
Um, and then you get Grand Budapest Hotel, which brings all of it together in like the best possible way, and it's also hysterical from start to finish. It's just so fun. You know what I mean? It is just funny, funny, funny. These characters are so freaking funny.
And he does a really good job. There's something that I don't know that I had ever noticed until this watching of that movie. He starts with Tom Wilkinson as the narrator, but then the narrator goes to the younger self.
Right. It's so good the way he does that.
And
It's so
like
cool.
he does it, it's so well done that you almost don't notice it.
It's perfect.
And then and it caught me off guard. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not
But
Tom
but
Wilkinson.
also but
That's Jude
also
Law.
the scene changes as well.
Hmm.
It goes to the pre-Soviet area or the Soviet era where they're like the building has been stripped down and made to look like a Soviet block apartment or something like that. That's right when Owen Wilson's, I mean when Tom Wilkinson's voice changes to
Yes.
that of Jude Law. Um,
Because
but they both
he's recounting his meeting with Zero,
right.
because
It's
it's
the layers are so
yeah,
great too, and it's like going back when we were talking about the statue.
yes,
The first thing you see is this statue, and you're thinking, "Oh, this is the hero of the story," and then you realize no, this is just the statue that's dedicated to the narrator. Oh, and he's reading from his book that he wrote about this other thing that happened to,
right.
and he's just trickling out this information in such a way that's just like it's so artful. You know what I mean? All these little things, and it keeps you guessing the whole time. Like, what's going on here? This is it, and mm, so good. And I feel like after this one, you get Isle of Dogs. That's kind of more of the same. It's fantastic. He does this Japanese thing in that movie that's really cool. Where he's able to take another style and adapt it to his own. It's absolutely gorgeous, but in a way, it's more of the same
Hmm.
as Fantastic Mr. Fox. You get the French Dispatch and Asteroid City, and like they're both good, but like they're not they're not breaking any new ground. I don't know. They're not as exciting as Grand Budapest is.
I feel like it's like they wanted to do this like gotcha thing with like, look how many friggin' crazy cool actors we can get to be in these movies.
Yeah,
Because I mean, you get Hanks, you get Scarlett Johansson, you get like so many people that come in during those two movies that weren't really part of it. I would have almost preferred if he had just made all those movies with the same with the same people, and like so you got to like see them.
Yeah, just keep shuffling the cast.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Well, I tell you, like Asteroid City, it reaches like the art direction reaches a level of like surreality in that movie that, frankly, I'm not crazy about it. Like I think he hit the right pitch when he got to Grand Budapest. The right mix of fantastical elements blended with real stuff, um, combined with historical realism, um, and period detail. Uh, that it's just so pitch perfect in
Well,
Grand
and
Budapest.
and I think that some of the details are that he puts into it. They're almost so close to reality. You can kind of you can suspend belief that it's not reality. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
um,
Well,
when
like in the
when
go
the
ahead.
fascists take over the hotel and they've
Hmm.
got all their banners everywhere, and of course you
Right.
can't have the Nazi banners, even though you
Right.
fully know that it's Nazis.
Oh, the way that the substitute that they did for the Nazis with like the ZZs, it
But they
wasn't
weren't.
like the
But
it
they
wasn't the
weren't
SS, it was
Z's.
like the
So you got
ZZ.
to notice it. They're sevens.
Oh,
They're
they are.
not Z's. They're
Oh,
sevens, and they're layered
right.
in this way.
So what does that mean? Yeah, they come down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you think about it, they're just. But it's meant to invoke that same thing because
Hmm.
the seven and the Z are so close to each other. It looks like that SS symbol. It looks like
Right,
that
right.
Nazi SS symbol, but it's not. It's not quite that Nazi SS
Yeah,
symbol.
it's this the approximations throughout this movie are
Hmm.
incredible. I mean, like everything looks so real and so period specific and culturally specific that the fact that it's all sort of like whimsically made up, names and characters and actual places, like it's it's perfect.
All right, let's get into to especially some because I think some of the performances in this movie are just unbelievable. Obviously, Ray Fiennes gives, in my opinion, one of the best performances of his career. I mean, the
Yeah,
guy's
he's like the Hackman. Like I love the fact that both he and Hackman like sort of rose to this incredible level under the hand of Wes Anderson, that he was able to get these performances out of these guys. And I mean, Monsieur Gustav is just absolutely one of my favorites of all time in of any movie ever. Like one of my absolute favorite movie characters. And a lot of it is because I relate to him as a career hospitalitarian, like he is. But the way that that character blends this like sort of high and very sophisticated learned scholar of a guy, but he is also an absolute street hustler, like rapscallion,
yes,
and
yes. He
and
walks that
among certain company he makes no bones about
he walks that fine line just so perfectly.
it. It's
You know what I
just
mean? It's just
incredible.
it's utterly, you know, because there are times when you're just like, this guy's disgusting, but he's also great. Like at the same exact time, where
And
you kind of loathe him, but you also love him in these different moments. And oh man, he does such a good job. And then the casting of Zero on both sides. Okay, so where you have you've got God, why is it escaping me? The older Zero is played by
F. Murray
F.
Abraham,
Murray Abraham. Thank you. And then the young version
looking
is
like a Middle Eastern dude. F. Murray Abraham looking like a
yes.
straight up Middle Eastern dude.
And then you have Tony Ravioli, who is essentially a newcomer at that point.
He's so good in
And
this
he's
movie.
so good, dude. And I wonder, watching this, I had to look it up to see. He plays Flash Thompson in the Spider-Man movies with Marvel, and those are made just a couple of years after this. And I wonder if he didn't end up getting that because he was so damn good in this, because he gives a great performance. His performance with his girlfriend wife are like, those scenes are so good. Like the scene where like he's trying to give her the thing, the like the note or whatever, and he's like they may come for you, you need this, and she's like, I don't want it, and he's like and he kind of climbs up into the ceiling, and then he goes, yeah, but you should have it anyway. And he drops it, and then he just takes back off again.
It's so
And
sweet.
oh, it's so great.
To me, the central relationship though is between him and Monsieur Gustav.
Oh God.
Because he, almost instantaneously, it's like a game recognizes game thing with Gustav and Zero. He's like, where did you come from? And he's like, I was sent here, and like he's immediately like this guy. He just immediately clocks him as like a smart, like kind of hustler. Like he's right there. Like the way Zero is answering all of his questions so straight up, it's like he's got immediate respect for him. You know what I mean? They are immediately like thick as thieves, um, in the way that he asserts his authority with him, while at the same time still giving him respect. Um, the way he interviews them as they're walking along, it's like they both know that this is just perfunctory, that he's already got the job, but he's Monsieur Gustav. Of course, he's going to conduct an interview. And he's like, what experience do you have? The kid rattles off like three different jobs at three different hotels, and Monsieur Gustav's like, none.
That's
like
right.
none of those count. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I think that like the fascist parallels with what's going on today are just nuts. Like I love how, you know, it's like they do such a good job of, like creating tension when they're traveling, when Monsieur Gustav gets arrested on the train, all right, and like he is so fervently like standing up for Zero in this moment, and he's just like, you know, whatever, and he ends up getting arrested, for essentially for standing up for Zero, and which leads to this whole crazy great escape, kind of middle part of the movie. And I don't know, man, it's so good. And I'm getting ahead of myself. Adrian Brody, dude, is so good in this movie.
Well, no, stay with the Germans on the train, and then we will get to the castle, the castle Schloss or whatever it is.
But that's also, you get, these like thugs come in and they're asking for papers, and of course he's like, of course, well, no problem, and he hands them this, and he hands them that, and then they're looking at Zero's paper, which, by the way, like, I love the fact that when he hands his, it's this like crisp, like very clear, like, these are my papers. And when Zero gives his, it's like this like almost rolled up, crumpled, like tattered like piece of paper. And he's just like, no, it's a working visa. Everything's in order.
And Wes always with the paper. Like Wes loves paper. He loves the printed page in whatever form it comes in. And like the way you get to see like all these cards and like all these bits of iconography that are just like they represent like the grand time of hotels, of international hotels, when those things were at their utmost, when they were absolutely peaking. That's like what the Grand Budapest represented. I wanted to mention the first introduction we get to Monsieur Gustav, because I love what he does with it. The first time you see Monsieur Gustav, he's in silhouette from behind. He's looking out the window of the hotel. So it's an aspirational shot in a way, like, oh, he's looking off to other things. And yet the next thing you see, I liken it to him being like the conductor of an orchestra. He's shot like the conductor of an orchestra, because he turns from the window, he walks across the apartment. You see that he's wearing like a coat and tails, you know what I mean? And he's got like this very assured walk, it's like just perfect. And he gets to the door and pushes open the door in the same way like that the conductor would like grab the baton. And then he steps back as the doors open up and the people start coming in with all the stuff. And he's like pointing and like moving. And it's like you're watching a guy conducting an orchestra, which is sort of like the pinnacle of artistry in the music world. So it's like he's being given an homage and like placed upon a pedestal from the opening moment of the movie. And yet by the end of the scene, he's cursing like a sailor, and you're like, oh, this man contains multitudes.
Yes.
I need to know more about this guy, and the way he talks is so perfect.
And the music in this movie is, you know, because it's very traditional score, but it's also done very, very well. Like
Oh yeah.
very, excuse me, very different feel
Hmm.
musically
Hmm.
to
More like
the
sound, not
Tenenbaums.
soundtracky, like scory. It's like a
Yeah, yeah,
score.
very, very less soundtracky and much
Yeah,
more
less
film
soundtracky,
score.
more film score.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
for
still
sure.
very, very good,
Incredible.
and it really evokes the emotion throughout. Like it really kind of gives you the cue of what you're supposed to be feeling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, all right. So then let's move to the widow's funeral, or the widow's after the widow's
Will reading.
funeral. Yeah, the
Yeah.
will reading. Well, I guess she's laying there in state
Hmm.
because when he first arrives at the Schloss, he goes to see her, to see the body, and like his interaction with the dead body is just incredible. He's like talking to her as if she's still alive. He's like grabbing her hands. Oh, look, you did get your nails redone, like I recommended. Like those details are so great, and it's like this insight into his character that you get. It's like, is this a put on, or does he really like this stuff? Like, or is he just that good that he's so dialed in to like what these people need, what their egos need, that he can provide for them, that will get the coffers opened and get the money and the privilege flowing his way. You know what I mean? He's just so good at that. Um, so yeah, they get to the Schloss. He talks to the dead body, and then they have that little, or no, and then they go into where they're reading the will
Yeah.
when Kovacs uh,
Yes.
is
Being
is the bombshell announcement.
the unbelievable. All right.
Jeff
Jeff
Goldblum.
Goldblum, so good. And by the way, in one of the things that I really love about this character is that he is like constantly throughout it. He's like, no, 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 no. He's like, I'm here for the law. Like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
very like all of this other shit doesn't matter. Like it's about the law, and I
Hmm.
love that he like really carries that through.
Well, and the moment he walks through the door at the reading of the will, you're like, oh my God. So wait a second. This guy that we met earlier, who's like doing the books at the Grand Budapest Hotel, is now somehow aligned with this family, because at that point, we don't know who the mystery owner of the
Mhm.
hotel is. We just know that Jeff Goldblum is his emissary or whatever, his representative. And so now you're like, oh, could that lady have been the mystery owner of the hotel all along? But then, yeah, we get the intro of the Adrian Brody and Willem Dafoe characters, and the three like witchy sisters, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
the the costuming here is unreal. I mean, Willem Dafoe is basically a vampire.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he
He's
is
he's
so
got like
menacing with the
he's
look
got the
is that he
teeth,
has
he's got the rings, he's got like
and the
the
buzz
silver
cut.
ring,
Like
and
it's
yeah,
all very, very, very menacing. And then you juxtapose him with Adrian Brody, who's got this, kind of like wild, jet
right. He looks like a
black,
rock
like
star,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he is such a hothead.
Oh, and he's ruthless.
So ruthless. Um, Yeah, incredible styling there. Another scene I had to point out that happened, I think, before that, was when the widow when the widow dowager was leaving for the last time,
He's
and
like
she hands him the coin, and she's like, make a donation for me in the sacristy of Santa Maria, right? And this gives you such an insight to like what a hustler Gustav is, because he turns to he
he goes,
turns to
I will take care of
Zero.
this myself.
No, he goes, no, he turns to Zero. He hands him the coin. He goes, take this to the chapel of Santa Maria. Buy like
The
a
cheap
5-pack of the half size ones. He goes, and get back, like, what did he say? He was like, oh, he goes, take back 4 kobliks in Klubeks in change, and then he uses those. Then he's to use those to buy him a Cortisano chocolate from Mendel's, which comes into play later.
right.
He goes, and then if there's any change, give it to the crippled boy over here. So it's like he's like
The
he's
crippled
like
shoe shine boy.
he's like number one, take care of my wealthy patron who's entrusted me with this money. but don't give all the money. Just make sure she's yeah, we made the donation for you. Yeah. But get some money back. With the money you get back, take care of me. I want a chocolat from Mendel's. Get that. And he goes, oh, and like as an afterthought, if there's anything left, charity. I'm so charitable. Give it to the poor crippled boy over there. It's just
To the crippled shoe shine boy. Yeah.
he contains so many multitudes. Like he's just like so great. Wow. And then like Zero gives him some kind of pushback or something. He's like, go light the goddamn candle. The goddamn. His dialect in this thing is absolutely incredible too. It's so specific.
So eventually the plot thickens, and essentially he is framed for the murder of the dowager, countess or whatever she is, and is sent to jail, and that kind of sets in your act 2 act 3 scenario of Zero trying to get him out of the prison, even though he really is getting himself out of prison, and Zero is just there to make sure that he picks him up when he gets out.
Right.
But one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie really happens in the prison, where they're like, I can't remember exactly how the scene starts, but he like talks to these two guys. Oh, it's when he has the cake. It's when he brings the cake into the thing, and he's like, get the stabbing. What does he call it? Oh, he says something. They call it like the shiv something that was really really cute. But anyway, when they turn the camera around, fucking Harvey Keitel, looking like a Russian
he's so good.
Mobster with tattoos and the bald head. And
he's incredible.
Oh my God, I was like, I had forgotten that he was even in this movie at all, and he's really only in it for like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
but he gives such a great speech and such a great little performance in it, and I was so thrilled. I was like, oh man, I love Harvey Keitel, man.
Yeah, well, I think this film just really kind of combined everything that Wes was about. Impeccable set design, perfect dialogue, that is equal parts hilarious and just like deep in a way. A complex and twisting plot that keeps you guessing the whole time, that has mystery to it, that has layers upon layers of things to get deeper and deeper in. A platform for some stunning performances out of many of the characters, just leaning into their parts. I mean, like Adrian Brody's hot-headedness was just like next level. Like that guy was ready to kill somebody. That movie was mad and just like not taking shit,
Well,
also a buffoon.
But as soon as he sees them in Act 3, okay, they're like, they've got the boxes from Mendel's, and they're like walking, through the hotel, and the fascists are all like littering through the hotel, and he sees them and he goes, that's it. He's like, I'm getting you right now. And he like reaches down into his sock and he pulls out the gun and just starts shooting across the hotel.
And there's like a whole gun battle.
Yeah, there's a whole gun battle where
God.
all the fascists start coming out of the rooms and start shooting just across the hall. Like, you're shooting at me, I'm shooting at you.
Absolutely
And
nuts.
finally, somebody who else gives a very small but very memorable performance. Ed Norton is the one that's like, stop, he's like, ceasefire.
Yeah, I love him in this movie. Like when he says, your companion was very kind to me when I was a lonely little boy. And like, meanwhile, you realize right there in that moment, you're like, oh, that's so sweet. And you're like, oh wait, he was banging his mom. You know what I mean? Because he says to him, he goes, and how is your lovely mother? And he's like, oh, she's doing fine or whatever. You know what I mean? So he's already being flattering and complimentary to him and his mother. And then he's like, he was kind to me when I was a little boy. And you're like, oh yeah, because he was, right there hanging out with him as he was fucking banging his mom every summer. And they came to the Grand Budapest Hotel. So good. so good.
Oh my god, yeah, it's very, very good, very, very good. I tell you, both of these movies, and they're very like, and even though they have so many things that run through them that are similar, they're very, very different. And you know, you're right that it's like it's he reaches the peak of that stylization that he has in this movie, and it's like, I mean, there isn't a
So
single scene that doesn't feel perfectly composed.
yeah, it's absolutely like everything about it is perfectly composed. So that's why I feel like it's like the apotheosis of the Wes Anderson style. And after that, we get Isle of Dogs. We talked about Dispatch. You know, Asteroid City, beautiful movies. Asteroid City had some shots that were kind of mind-boggling. Like they seemed like high pop art to me, that I would, more than love to get into sometime. We had the Netflix thing, the story of Henry Sugar, and they had the little vignette movies. One of which was like the Rafe Fiennes like Rat Catcher, and and those were again like they were good, but like nothing that sort of turned your world on its side. And then the Phoenician Scheme, which I believe one of us talked about in a
I
broom
did.
wagon or something like that. Yeah, and it's like, you know,
I enjoyed it.
so,
I enjoyed it a lot.
but nowhere near the level of
No,
Grand Budapest Hotel. There's no way,
no.
or the Royal Tenenbaums either. So let's finish out the conversation by wondering aloud what Wes Anderson might do next to to get back in the game, to get back in the
Honestly,
conversation.
so after watching these two movies, having that discussion, having the discussion that we had previously on the show, what I would like to see is him go back to his absolute roots and make something akin to Bottle Rocket again. Something where, you know, dial the art direction down. All right, dial all of the Wes Anderson of it. Root it in something that's a little more real. Like, I'd love to see what he would do. I'd
Like
love to see how he would
stripped
make
down realism.
that movie. You know, because obviously the big thing about Bottle Rocket is it's a shoestring budget movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's it's very based very in the performative. It relies heavily on the actors' performances to be the story, and they really use the Texas backdrop that they're familiar with as the set. I
What
would
if they
love,
did Bottle Rocket Part Two?
yeah, Bottle Rocket Part Two, but
Same
I would
guys,
love to see
all
him try to
all
make
grown
another
older.
movie like that. Like how he would be
Mm.
all these years down the road now with all the tips and all the tricks and all the things that he's got in his sleeve that he didn't have then. See him make a movie like that again and how it would look now versus how it looked then.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here I have a couple of ideas as well. So starting with the Royal Tenenbaums, way back when in 2001, he has been the director, writer, and producer of literally every single film he has made. Every single one. Director, writer, producer. Um, Bottle Rocket, he directed and wrote but did not produce. Rushmore, he directed and wrote, and was an executive producer. And then bam, Royal Tenenbaums, he's got complete control. Um, I think he could, number one, just switch out one or both of those last two parts, writer and producer. Take his Wes Anderson directorial approach, but do something, a piece of material that someone else has written, and see what happens. Number two, do something like keep the aesthetic style and as many of your sort of hallmarks as you can, your still shots, your perfectly composed pictures, et cetera, but apply it to, say, a documentary.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Do something,
Wholly
different.
unexpected.
Use your talents, but use them in a completely different way. You know what I mean? Or do a conventional like horror movie, but in the Wes Anderson style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see
Make
that.
those tableaus deeply unsettling when we get them.
Ooh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
That would be
Um,
cool. That would be
it's
cool.
it's like he's got to switch out an element, because it's like it's just he keeps giving us those same elements, which are incredible, that are so well rendered and everything. But it's just like I need something else now. I need you to do something a little different.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what he would do with somebody else's material. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So
Well, I certainly enjoyed revisiting both of those movies, especially Tenenbaums. It's been a while since I watched that one, and it's just so darn good. I just want to go and I want to be in that house for like the rest of my life. Like it's so cool. Like I mean, there's a scene like where they're in some tiny kitchen. I mean, they're in the house, but they're like in this tiny little kitchen, and Royal's like sitting at this little like banquette
little
that's built
nook.
for two,
Yeah.
and there's like a old school refrigerator in there, and Danny Glover's like all packed up in there, and
That's a great scene too, and
yeah,
that's the jive. He's like, "You want to talk some jive?
yeah,
I'll talk
yeah,
some
yeah.
jive."
Yeah, he's so racist. That's the other part of him. He's got like this racist edge to
Yeah,
him that he's like just unafraid, like with everything else, he's completely unafraid to flaunt it and to show certain people exactly who he is. You know what I mean? Just like with Mr. Gustav, not afraid to show certain people, yeah, this is who I am. You know, I will cuss like a sailor, and I will hustle people, and I will unabashedly bang old ladies that are blonde. Like, how about that little montage where they showed him in like his various like old lady hookups? Like
well,
he's literally getting a blowy in one of
and
those.
they make a note of it at the end that he's like, and he ended up as a blonde, you know,
Right,
patron of da 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 da, and
right.
it was really cool.
And Adrian Brody, meanwhile, is convinced that he's like a fucking faggot. Look at that faggot there. And like he's like, what are you talking about? Like I was
He's like, I am the old lady Lothario. What are you talking about?
right. Such good stuff. All right, well, we are going to take a break. That was a fun ride down memory lane. When we come back, we'll hit on a couple of more pop cultural items and call it a day, shall we?
Sounds good.
See you in a few.
Don't miss the Team Bus, our weekly podcast about pro cycling, and oh, did I mention pro cycling? We're kind of obsessed. Dropping into your usual podcast feeds every Wednesday.
All right, we are back, and we're going to get into a few other things. My main one, unless you wanted to go first.
No. You go ahead and hit yours. I really only have one thing that I kind of caught up with my wife, which was out of nowhere. So, but go ahead.
Okay, so in doing my research for our main show coverage of the movie Breaking Away, uh, I looked up where specifically that quarry that they were swimming in the beginning of the movie was, because I was just so blown away by the magnificence of that location. Um, and as I mentioned on our main show, I've learned that it's mainly filled in by now. Well, where I learned that was from a YouTube video on a channel called Come See With Me. And Come See With Me is like my latest YouTube rabbit hole obsession, right? Super unique. Basically, this guy does like two or three things, and that's it. Number one, he goes to the filming locations of famous movies, and he basically comprehensively goes through and tries to chart every single place in the movie where these locations were, and he shows you what they look like in the here and now. And there's just something about it that's like really, really cool. Like he does ones for Flashdance, The Money Pit, The Departed, and especially he does one for Dirty Dancing, right? Which was filmed at two different resorts in New Jersey and North Carolina. And those are among many, many others. But to give you an idea of what he like, and he did one for Breaking Away. So he went to all the locations in the movies. It was over an hour long, and he just went scene by scene and showed you every single location in the whole movie. Now that you've watched the movie, you would dig watching this this YouTube video. So make sure
Okay,
you
I will.
check out that link. Um, and it's just so cool because he's really drilling down. Like I'll give you an example. One example is like after after Daniel Stern had gotten beaten up and they were walking up the street, and Dennis Quaid was all pissed off because he had been beaten up, and he's like, "Where do we find these guys? We got to go after them." You see a Mayflower truck in the background, and then they kind of cross the street and they go onto this sidewalk, and the dude is like standing there with his camera on the YouTube video, and he's like, "All right, so this is the sidewalk where they come up, they cross right across the street right here," and then he cuts back to the shot in the movie, and you see him like right there on that same spot where he's standing right there, and like it's like crack, man. It's so
I
cool
remember
to
I
see that.
remember the scene that you're talking about because I remember clocking that Mayflower moving truck.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm telling you, man, these videos are really, really cool. And he does one for, um, he does the entire movie of Dirty Dancing, but he does two different very specific locations in that movie where he does like a little like 6, 7 minute long video just about that one location. Um, and I watched them both, and they're fantastic. One of them is the um, the log that's going across the stream, and Patrick Swayze's like teaching her how to do her balance, and they're doing that like little dance on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, the other one though, this is the video I really like. It's the shot when Baby has had like her first dance lesson with Patrick Swayze, and she's all like on a cloud, and she's by herself, and she's like leaving the place or whatever, and she's practicing her dance moves, and she's on that stone staircase, and you see her from behind doing these little dance moves and stuff, and it's just like a very sweet, cute little scene. um so this dude's video, he goes, so I went to the location where they filmed this, and there's this other staircase that everybody acts like that's where they shot it, or maybe he said there's some signage or something like that that says this is where they shot that iconic scene of Baby dancing on the steps. And he's like, I'm here to put this right, because those are not the steps where she was dancing on. The ones that she were dancing on were these ones over here. These ones right here that are completely overgrown with weeds and stuff and don't have railings or anything, right? So basically, you got like this lower area and this upper area of this resort, and they both had these two like stone staircases that were built like decades and decades and decades ago out of like local, you know, limestone or whatever. And back in the time when the movie was being made, the the one that they used was very well maintained and everything. There was like railings running next to it in the movie, but now it's completely dilapidated. And the guy proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is in fact the staircase that they filmed it on, because he takes a still photograph from the movie with her feet in it and the stairs, right? And then he zooms into it, and he has that on one side, and then on the other side of the frame he's got his photograph that he took standing at the same spot in the same angle, and he's got like 8 different like points of interest where he's like, look at it on this side and then look at it on this side, same geometry, same distance, here's that crack, here's where that thing does that, and that by the end of it you're like, oh, this is obviously the same staircase. It's quite clear. And he does the same thing with the log location. Shows you the tree, and it's just crazy. It's like, look at that. There it is. There's that tree, like in that movie from 35 years ago or whatever it was. It's just mind-boggling, you know? So it's a really cool channel. Now he's in his stadiums. So he's on a mission to go to every single college football stadium. And I think he does like these like deep dive walkarounds where he shows you every bit of the stadium. Those I'd like to watch one or two of those, I'm sure. But then he also goes to historical sites. And the one that I watched was he went to the Waco siege compound, like where the government rolled in and like,
Mm-hmm.
torched 80 people or whatever. And he goes to that spot where it is now, and he walks around all that can still be seen of that area, which is not a whole lot, but there's still some parts of it. And he keeps flipping back to this like wide, like helicopter shot from above of the whole compound, like back in the day, and gives you a bit of the backstory, not a lot more. It's more about the location, but super super interesting channel. It's called Come See With Me, and I will link to it in our show notes.
So I don't know if you know this, but when that happened, okay, when we were kids, um,
Well, I was an adult when
well,
we
you
were a
were,
kid.
I was a kid. Um, One of the things that I clearly remember about that time is, so mom and dad's really good friends, the Cadigans, Jim Cadigan, was an FBI agent.
Mhm.
All right. Jim Cadogan had, I don't want to say exactly, but he had something to do with the whole Waco thing and the
Oh, really?
investigation of it. Yeah. So one time we went on a tour of the FBI building with
Yeah, I took
him.
that tour. I took the tour with him.
Well, so if you remember
We
when
saw John Dillinger's gun and
yeah, when we were in the basement of that tour, like the underbelly of the FBI building, they have these giant garages and things like that where they like literally will store things they're investigating. They brought in tons, literal tons of materials from Texas and stored it in the basement of the FBI building. I remember touring it during that time.
wow,
Yeah. And all that
that's
stuff
pretty
was
wild.
there. So wild little, side note.
Well, I find that kind of stuff, especially just like him going to these old movie sets and walking around and seeing all the stuff. I mean, all the stuff that you see about breaking away in there, it's just amazing. I mean, he just hits every single location and he shows you what's happened with that quarry. The whole place where they raced the Little 500, it's now like this massive quad in between a bunch of buildings where there's like walkways and like rolling paths. It looks not
Nothing
like
like it
the
did.
Little 500 is at a completely separate location now at their other different track that they have for it. But he still gives the same treatment. He stands at the same spot where the camera was, and he's like, and if you look over there, like right there where the blah 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 is, that's where such and such would have been. And like, there's one big building that is in the old movie. It's like one of the original like main campus buildings. It's still there, so you still get this sort
You
of
can tell that
anchor.
that's where it was.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
gives
yeah. It's
it gives it an anchor point.
yeah, it's pretty freaking cool. So check that link out if that seems like something that you would
Oh, I'm
interest you.
definitely going to.
So tell me your thing, and then I'll hit the rest of mine
So
afterwards.
the other day, my wife and I were talking. We were like, we don't really have anything to watch right now, and I was rolling through. I had I had Peacock open because I was looking to see if the Saitama Criterion thing that happened over the weekend. It's like a you know Criterion thing that's put on by the ASO organization, but I figured it might be on Peacock and it wasn't. So I was looking for that. So I had Peacock open, and my wife goes, "Oh, Lonesome Dove. I love Lonesome Dove." And I was like, "You want me to turn it on?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure." So my wife and I ended up turning on Lonesome Dove and watching all four parts of Lonesome Dove from
Of Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove.
yes. And let me tell you, it's pretty goddamn good. Like I'm not gonna lie, there's definitely some like out.
It's like romance slash western type stuff, right?
Yeah. Very, very like really. I mean, it's very just Western. I mean, there's definitely a romantic element, involved to it,
Mhm.
but it is definitely just a Western. I mean, that is no doubt, what it is.
I do
So,
get a hankering for that genre every now and then. Maybe I'll go to that next time I'm craving a western.
I mean, you have Robert Duvall, you have Tommy Lee Jones, you have
Hitters.
Robert Urich is in it. Danny
Nice.
Glover is in it.
Nice. Yeah, that's right.
You have a young Steve Buscemi makes an appearance. You have Rick Schroeder's in it. So I'm trying to. Diane Lane is in it. There's somebody else too that like. DB Sweeney and Chris Cooper also is
Man,
in it. Yeah,
love
like
it.
it's got a pretty crazy cast.
All right, I'm gonna check that out.
Interesting, wholesome too. You could totally like. I mean, outside of like the fact that there's prostitution running through the whole thing, but it's like there's no nudity or anything like that because it was a TV movie. You could technically watch it with your family.
Mhm.
It is. It is very. I was surprised at how engaged I got with it, like pretty easily. So
Yeah, I'll do that. The most recent western I watched was True Grit, the Coen Brothers True Grit. I've been kind
I
of
mean that is a great movie.
as 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 Blank Check podcast has been spooling out the Coen Brothers movies over the past several weeks. I've been keeping up with some of them now. It's just like, oh yeah, I need to rewatch that. So I rewatched True Grit. That's an amazing movie. We talked about that before.
Hmm.
All right, wanted to mention I saw the Springsteen movie, Deliver Me from Nowhere, Jeremy
Oh,
Allen White.
my son went and saw this.
Um, and it's not being like, lauded by the critics. I don't think it's getting as good a reception as the Dylan movie did. Um, but I sure did like it. And I had the same reaction as I had to watching the Bob Dylan movie, where it's like the the things that are being depicted in that movie are things that I have thought about and imagined, that I've known about and have thought about and have imagined in my head for years and years and years. And I've gone back and watched early Dylan performances, and I've gone back and watched early Springsteen performances and all that stuff. But the mythology behind those characters are things that are not really depicted anywhere. There's not film of Bob Dylan hanging out with Woody Guthrie in his hospital room, with Pete Seeger. Like there's no actual archival, even if there was, it wouldn't be like seeing it rendered in a feature film, with modern day techniques. And so I love that about it. It's like I've thought about Bob Dylan talking to Woody Guthrie in that hospital room for 30 years since I became aware of that whole backstory. You know what I mean? It's part of this whole mythology, and to see it so lovingly rendered is just really satisfying for a longtime fan. And so with the Springsteen thing, I've thought about Springsteen holing up by himself in that house and writing this whole album, like after he was like, as he's becoming the most popular entertainer on the planet. Right at that moment, he's filled with doubt, and he holes up by himself and writes this whole other album, that's basically like folk music. Again, it's a legendary story that I've been well aware of for decades and decades, and to see it so lovingly rendered on screen, and well acted, uh, even if it's a little wonky and it's a little on the nose or whatever, I don't care. I don't care. I'm enjoying watching this like so much, you know, seeing this rendered, these moments rendered. I love it.
So you give it a two mats up.
I definitely would give it two thumbs up for sure.
All right. Well,
Jeremy Strong plays Bruce's manager, and he's so freaking good. I think he gets the line reading of the whole movie. Um, yeah, I enjoyed it. Springsteen Deliver Me from Nowhere. I can't wait to watch it again, because I saw it on the pirate site, and it was like, I don't know what was up with this copy, because this site doesn't. I've been on sites before that have like, that will tell you if it's like capture, like a one, basically somebody's gone into a theater and like recorded it on a camera in the theater, and that's the copy you're watching, versus like a rip from some source. And this one seemed like it had been recorded in Teatro. It had like a logo stamped across the edge of it, which kind of migrated throughout the film. It was very low quality. The sound was not great, but there was something about the low qualityness that just seemed to work with the theme of this movie. Um, so I enjoyed it. And it also had, what's that guy's name that's so good, um, playing his father, the guy from the Guy Ritchie movies. And anyways, check it out. The rest of my stuff, I just have I stumbled upon a bunch of fun YouTube videos that I'll link to, and you can check them out if any of these interest you. So the first one is the Clemens v. Martinez murder ball. This is a thing that went down between Roger Clemens and Pedro Martinez, Yankees versus Red Sox, where they were going after batters, and it just kept escalating and escalating game after game. And like these dudes, and Pedro Martinez especially, he's like making all these gestures like he just like went for some dude, and they pulled him out of the game, and he's walking off this thing like looking like, I mean, crazy drama. And I'm just like, wow, to have been a fan when this was going down must have been so compelling. So check out that video, Clemens v. Martinez murder ball. We spoke at length about the the World Series, which just concluded, and I found a video. It's just a compilation of Blue Jays fans reacting to the Game 7 loss, like in the immediate moments afterwards. And there's good stuff there. I mean, it starts off with two guys punching their TV screen and just rolls from there. It's just funny. It's just funny and sad, demoralizing. I don't know. Have we discussed Billy Strings on this podcast before?
Yes, we've talked about Billy Strings.
Yeah, love Billy Strings. Of course, his to me, his bluegrass just absolute masterpiece of a banger is Dust in a Baggie. And I found a version of it where he's at the Grand Ole Opry, Ground Zero, and he's playing his like just perfect song at the Grand Ole Opry, and the soloing in that song is so damn good, and it is the absolute quintessential rendering of that song. So that's in there. And then lastly, I'll bring it all the way back to cycling. I found a best of the Tour de France from this past year, put out by the Tour de France organization. And it's like a 13-minute long video that's like the best of the Tour de France, edited by that organization. And if you're really missing watching some pro cycling, like I know we both are right now, this will give you 13 minutes of happiness.
All right, so I'm in on that.
Definitely check that out as well.
You just made me, when you started talking about the Bruce Springsteen movie, you made me realize that I did finally finish The Bear.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I have not finished it, so don't spoil.
I will not spoil. I will say I had multiple choke. I had only watched like 1 or 2 episodes when I started back into it for the current season, the one that just came out. Mm-hmm. And oh man, that show gets me in the friggin' feels, bro.
I gotta watch that, man. I gotta get back on that.
Yeah, it really does get me in the feels. So, yeah.
All right. Well, check out those links if any of that stuff is appealing to you. My brother, once again, it's been a delight potting with you today. These episodes just get longer and longer and longer. And I'm here for it.
Yep.
Content is king. So join us next time for another ride beyond the Slipstream. For my brother Justin, I'm Matt. Ale.
Beyond the Slipstream is a companion to the Teen Bus and is produced by Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!